Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another exciting episode of the Tommy Temper Show. I'm Tommy Temper, the illustrious Canadian up here in the big capital city, the oil city of Canada, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and we're overlooking the elm-lined streets of Edmonton. Coming to you from the Crystal Gondola, having some fun here today. We're going to be talking about Alberta separation, independence, that sort of thing. A lot of people have been talking about it already, and I think that we should talk about it for a little bit as well. We'll talk about some other things that we're digging up on the internet, and lots of stuff to talk about today as well. We've got everyone in the chat. Quack, good to see you in here. Thanks a lot for modding. Anyone else that's a mod in the chat there, good to see you. And yeah, it looks like it's another nice day. Let me see. The actual forecast for today is going to be 30 degrees Celsius. We're going up to 30 degrees Celsius. Unbelievable. It's such a nice day out there. And I'll be going out for another one of those bike rides there, and we'll be capturing some shots of our city. Hey, Mater, good to see you. And everyone else in the chat. This is a glorious day. I think it's going to be getting hotter and hotter and hotter as the day goes on, which looks pretty good. So we're going to be heading out to the, probably the fountains, the wading pools, stuff like that, get our feet wet, do a little bike ride, that sort of thing. But yeah, yesterday was kind of interesting. I went out on my bike. I said that I might go live when I was out there, but it's just too hot out there. My phone is not going to survive doing a live when it's like 25 or 30 degrees out there. So I ended up just doing a couple of short videos. One of the things that I did do, though, is when I was down near the city hall there yesterday, I ran into a guy by the name of Sean Harvey. And Sean Harvey is a guy that is pretty much, gung-ho on this Alberta separation. So let's bring him in here, and let's hear what Sean has to say about the separation of Alberta from Canada. Let's bring Sean up here and just cue him up here. Sean, what do you have to say about this separation? Oh, hang on. Bring up the audio.
This country, I was born in Alberta. I'm a proud Albertan, not a proud Canadian. From what the government has done to every single one of us, we got to go.
What do you think of Carney bringing the King Charles in?
Oh, King Charles is part of the problem too. He's the puppet master of all of these guys. Whether you want to believe that or not, I'm the most unanalytical person you'll ever meet when it comes to Alberta and sovereignty and independence and all that other stuff. We need to go.
What about Carney and his new Liberal government?
Oh, he's a Trudeau 2.0, 100%.
Sounds good. So what do you think about the initiative here to have Alberta separate?
I love the idea. That's why I wear a conservative. I know a lot of people don't support it, but once we educate Canadians that staying with the proverbial crown and the monarchy is no longer an option, our children that you see here, the young ones, and the little baby over there, they're going to actually have a free life. We're taxed through the nose. We're not free. We have government overreach everywhere we go. Is every place better? I think, to be brutally honest, from what I've learned about America, America is free. You don't see, when Joe Biden was in, you don't see people going to Ron DeSantis in Florida telling them that, oh, we gotta do this and we gotta do that. And Ron DeSantis basically said, F you, Joe Biden, get out. This is my place. And once we educate Canadians that we don't have a constitution where the United States does, I think Alberta has been locked up, an eagle locked up in a cage for far too long, and it's now time that Alberta makes a difference, because there's other places in Canada that want freedom as well. Saskatchewan's on board, Winnipeg, Manitoba's on board, BC's on board, none of it, Northwest Territories, they're all on board with the Western separatist movement because they want freedom. They're tired of government overreach.
So are you in favor of Alberta just separating and, becoming its own entity, its own government, its own country, or would you prefer that Alberta becomes the American 51st state?
I love the 51st state idea. A lot of people don't understand why that is. But I look at this, you got to go and get trade agreements, you got to get currency, you got to spend all this extra money to do these things. But let's be real. 90% of world's economy runs on USD. So why would we want to create a buffalo currency or a cat currency or something crazy like that? We need to get together with our largest trading partner, which I believe is America, because they buy roughly 87% of Alberta's exports. And if it wasn't for them buying and doing what they do for us, we'd already be worse than Venezuela.
So what's your final take on the average Albertan sitting on the fence, doesn't know what to do? What would you suggest they do?
Let's sit down. Let's have a cup of coffee. I don't know everything, but I know this. I know the reason why. I don't know about the how. I'm the most unanalytical person you'll ever meet. Taxes are too high. Overreach has been crazy. We have no control over anything. Look at our equalization payments. There's nothing equal about those. We're just going to call those welfare payments to other places. Look at our healthcare system. People are waiting for life-threatening tests so we can save their lives. And they got to wait 18, 24, 36 months. I look at this. Take away the welfare payments to other provinces, we got $30+ billion that we can fix what they screwed up. And we have a lot of a big mess to clean up from the Liberals and what they've done to Alberta.
Okay, that's Sean, Conservative, Make Alberta Great Again. Thanks a lot for talking to us today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a take from a Canadian
in front of City Hall in Edmonton.
in front of City Hall. Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Yeah. That's where I was yesterday, and we ran into Sean, and that's his take on Alberta separation. Cannabis Rex. I don't know what you think about that, but check out some of these figures here, facts and figures. Talk. They absolutely do. Take a look at this. If Alberta was to separate, okay, this is the deal. On the left is the way we are right now. Let's say that you had a gross pay of $78,000, that you earn that amount. On the left-hand side, you would have deductions of about $47,000 off of that $78,000. Meanwhile, if Alberta was an independent country or 51st state, whatever, deductions would probably be about $8,000. So, you're looking at a retained income on either side there. You see the take-home pay on the left is $31,000. That's the way it is right now. Imagine that. You make $78,000 and your take-home pay is $31,000. As an independent country, Alberta would be you have a gross pay of $78,000, pay $8,000 in deductions, and you're left with $70,000. Well, maybe it might be a little bit more than $8,000. Whatever. You're definitely taking home a lot more pay, and this is what everyone is complaining about. Is that we're basically being robbed by the government. We're in a situation where our take-home pay is so low that it's you're hardly able to go and buy food and afford shelter or anything like that. People know that we're so heavily taxed in Canada here. Everyone, even when I was, let's say, at the job site 20 years ago, people would say, hey, you're only taking home half of your pay. Half of your paycheck is being taxed away by the government. But there's taxes on every other thing that you buy, taxes, and you're being double taxed on things like gasoline, petrol, things like that. It's just a real tough situation. So this is why people in Alberta want to separate, because we want a better life. And I think that, this kind of an example tells you exactly why that is so. And, we're dealing with, the guys in the government like Carney that's, we're saying, let's just do with Alberta, a few pipelines, maybe get a little more oil out there, out in the real world, and that sort of thing. But Carbon Carney, he's like, this is what Carbon Carney is like. He's like the guy throwing gas onto the fire there, making things worse for us, saying no pipelines. You know, Carney is like, yeah, we'll make a corridor, an energy corridor. Yeah, he says, oh yeah. He's asked about pipelines all the time. What do you think? Can Alberta have some more pipelines? And he goes, oh yeah, we'll make an energy corridor, a green energy corridor. What the hell does that mean? That means like putting up some towers and some wires and sending some electricity from some windmills and stuff like that. I don't know. That's not going to cut it. We've got to do something else. And this is why everyone here in my home province of Alberta is so gung-ho on separation, because we're sick and tired of what's happening with the government out there. It's just a terrible situation. Let's see what else is going on out there. As I was downtown there and roaming around a little bit there, I was able to do a few other videos. Let me just pull another one up here. That's maybe of interesting here. Oh, Edmonton is going to have a Pride Day again. This is actually the first Pride Day in I don't know how many years, probably 5, maybe more years than that. And I ran across something Pride related out there, which was kind of interesting. Let me just bring that one up here so I can show you what I actually ran into. Okay, this was some workers. I ran across some workers doing something there over in my neighborhood, and let's just hear what the workers had to say.
This out. These guys are out here painting this crosswalk here. Hey, what's this all about, guys? Any comment? Any comment on what's going on here? Doesn't look like there's much comment on what's happening here, but it looks like there's some kind of painting going on here of the road. Who's paying for this, by the way? Is this a Mayor Sohi project or who? These look like pretty burly guys out here doing the painting, by the way. Just have to say. Over here, Old Strathcona, this is what's happening. This is your tax dollars at work. Thanks a lot, guys, for the comment, or lack of thereof. Check this out. These guys are out here painting this.
So I ran across some guys painting the sidewalk out there in my neighborhood, and a bunch of burly guys out there doing the Cadamus Rex says Tommy Temper harassing people on the street again. Yeah, exactly. No, what I was doing was I was seeing what our tax dollars are being spent on. And the guys that were actually doing the work there, in fact, supervisors usually wear a white hat, don't they? Was a little bit reluctant to talk to me. He didn't even want to talk about what the hell they were doing. A bunch of burly guys. I doubt if any one of them had anything to do with whatever it was that they were painting, short of the fact that they were just doing that job. And I counted like about 4 trucks out there and a bunch of guys out there, bunch of spray equipment and whatever. I would guess that this was probably about a $10,000 paint job that these guys were up to there. Look at all those cones and stuff like that around there. Like, just unbelievable. Like, what for? Just so you can put that those rainbow colors in my face when I walk around my neighborhood. Give me a frickin' break already. Unbelievable. But anyways, that was one of the things that I ran into there yesterday. Another thing that I ran into was our famous streetcar. Our streetcar is actually a pretty neat thing that we have in Edmonton here. And it's a really old streetcar.
The old streetcar in Strathcona. Check it out. It's a full car here tonight.
This is Alberta.
They're heading over to the high-level bridge. Let's go. Got a ride on that thing this summer.
Yeah, my sons and I are going to go for a ride on this streetcar. It's an old-fashioned, made out of wood streetcar, wood and metal.
Streetcar.
It's inside the seats are all wooden, and it's a really neat thing to go for a ride on. And we have something called the high-level bridge here.
High-level bridge.
And it goes over that high-level bridge there. Really tall
Got a ride
bridge.
on that thing this summer.
So yeah, we're gonna try and go for a ride on that. That will be a lot of fun. We'll see whether or not we'll be able to do that. Yeah, and Alt Carney was in doing his show and dance there in the Parliament there. But Carney only asked a couple of questions, and he really doesn't answer any questions at all. He just like Trudeau used to do. He'd ask a pretty much like a yes or no question, and he would never answer yes or no, but give you the word salad and stuff like that. Carney. So it's kind of a bit of a clown show with the Carney government there now. Well, you voted for him, and he's your dude that's in charge, and you actually voted for him, so it's your own fault if you don't like what he's up to there. Let's see. I've got this one here, which is showing what it's like here in Canada right now. Where basically the whole country is on fire here right now. As you can see, we've got zombie fires over in where I live in Alberta. It's like patio weather outside my window. And up in the Northwest Territories, temperatures are the hottest ever recorded. Over in the eastern, northeast part of the country, things are vaporizing. Spontaneous wildfire combustions happening. Atmospheric inferno is probably the latest thing that the Weather Channel will be saying. But that's what's happening here in Canada, where basically it's a climate emergency. Look out, we're in big trouble here in Canada. Yeah, that's a funny one. And I've got a bit of music today too, so that's a cool thing. Hang on, let's get that going here. Yeah, I finally figured out how to get that going here. We got some music FX DJ going on here. Got a little bit of rock in the background there. Classic rock. Shredding up the tunes a little bit. Get a little background music here. Turn that down just a little bit there. There, we've got the block from Quebec. He doesn't like the leader of Canada either, because here's the little story of him, where the leader of the bloc basically says that the Quebecois says that Mark Carney thinks he's the CEO of Canada. And he actually brought in the owner of Canada there the other day, the King of England. And he's definitely not a fan. And actually Quebec, I think, had a vote to disavow the king and the monarchy and all that stuff. That's another thing that happened up here in Canada. But the Bloc Quebecois, he's basically out for Quebec and only Quebec. He loves Alberta dollars. He loves the billions of dollars that Alberta sends him. And he doesn't want to see Alberta separate, but he definitely wants our money. But on the other hand, we're sick and tired of sending the money over to Quebec. We'll keep it for ourselves here if we separate. So let's see if that happens. Yeah, I'm going to be going out for a bike ride when my two young ones come home from school. We had a lot of fun out there doing our thing over at the Ledge building and at the City Hall. We have some fountains and wading pools and stuff like that. So we'll be going out there and having that bit of fun. Yeah, this is funny here. This is basically the difference between 1995 and 2024. Basically the same temperature, but in 1995 it was just a nice day, just another nice day. But turn the clock to 2024, and now it's like a health hazard, emergency warning, climate emergency. Same temperature, same everything, but the graphics have been updated to 2024 just to scare the crap out of everyone. That's what's really going on here. If you're getting the burned by the mainstream media, that's what's going on. I hope you can see that. That's what's actually happening. It's all fake news out there. Meanwhile, it's just another nice day. Oh yeah, and the other thing is Carbon Carney. He also came up with this ruse, which is kind of crazy. Mark Carney just said, freedom is something you earn every day. And that strength is something we need to reinforce. Are you kidding me? Freedom is something you earn every day. You have to earn freedom. I thought that we live in a free country. You don't have to earn it. You just hear, and it's part and parcel of life. You don't have to earn it at all. Excuse me, freedom is a right, and we Canadians will make sure that it stays that way. And, he's such a Looney Tune, coming up with this. I want to say, dude, does he just come up with stuff off the top of his head and try and force it on us or make us think that it's real? That's the trouble with politicians out there, is that all they're doing is just pushing garbage on us and expecting us to just suck it in, suck it up. And, that's about it. Oh, yeah, we've got Elizabeth May here. She's with the Green Party. And the Green Party is pretty loony at the best. And Elizabeth May says that she's fulfilled her promise to make her constituents proud of her conduct. Yeah, well, there's a video of her looking pretty drunk up on stage, saying a bunch of really stupid stuff. So, yeah, her conduct is somewhat unbecoming Elizabeth May, the Green Party, which is pretty much a no-go party. Even a lesser party than the NDP in Canada. Not worth even playing that bit. Let's see what else is going on here. We're having trouble with Hamas loyalists in Ottawa. Literally attempted to completely overpower the Ottawa police by assaulting officers all together all at once. There's a single piece of footage from the Freedom Convoy similar to this conduct. Yeah, except the Freedom Convoy wasn't doing too much of anything, but these Hamas people are something a little bit over the edge. Let's just bring this clip in here. Hang on. Here they are. Here's the clip. And you've got the police pushing up against them there. They're pushing up against the police, fighting with the police. Things are getting rank up here in Canada with the Hamas, with these Palestinian protesters. Getting pretty wild. Just happening up here. Stuff like this is happening almost on a daily basis. It's ridiculous. Got to do something about that up here. And lots of people homeless out there. Lots and lots of people are homeless out there. And, you go into the River Valley here in Edmonton, or actually any major city in Canada, and you're going to see homeless people living out there in the bush and really, really making a big mess of things there. You can see how much garbage that they leave there. They're just starting fires. Bush is starting on fire. Stuff is burning. And then the rest of society is left to clean up after stuff like this here. All because we've got too many people coming into the country, nowhere for people to live, and it's pushing people out onto the streets, into drugs, fentanyl use, all kind of opioid dependency and stuff like that. And then we're left with garbage like this. Go figure. This is the new look on Canada. If you go through a walk in the River Valley, this is let's see, this is not something that I shot, but I was in the River Valley myself, and I did take a few videos of some campsites and tenting and garbage and stuff like that right here in my own home city, and it's not getting any better. It seems to be getting worse year after year after year. And with this Liberal government, we're not seeing any change at all. What we're seeing is that it's getting worse. And, people are foolish enough to be voting in the Liberal government, which is part and parcel responsible for what's going on. Here's a bit of action from over in, where is this? Is it Switzerland here, I think? Let me see. I don't know. This is over in, Swiss. This is Switzerland. So this is what they're doing to the Palestine things that are happening over there. They're really hitting hard with the water cannons and stuff like that. Check out this video here, and you'll see they're shooting water at the protesters, and doing stuff like that. This one, abolish Zionism. So this one must be a Palestinian video. Hang on. Showing how they're being abused over there in Switzerland with the water cannons and stuff like that. And that's they're not happy about getting hit with the water cannons and stuff like that. Probably rubber bullets and all kind of stuff. But they definitely hit harder against the protesters over in Europe than they do in Canada. Canada is, you know, the police are they're shoving the police are shoving them a bit or whatever. A few people get arrested or whatever. But yeah, that's what's going on over there. This is kind of, we're just bringing you up to date with almost everything here. Here's one here. You know about the natives in Canada and the so-called genocide of the people in the residential schools and stuff like that. Well, yeah, here's the happy 4-year anniversary of the Kamloops residential school. The site of the child burial hoax, so it's called. And so far, the body count of people or children that have been buried in the ground is like absolutely zero at the moment here. So, you know, people are being called out for talking about this. You know, I'm not necessarily talking about it, but I'm just pointing out what's going on there. Literally millions of dollars have been spent looking for bodies buried outside of residential schools, and so far they haven't found any anomalies, whatever. So, well, there was a sewage lagoon or something like that they found, whatever. But, you know, they're still wanting money, reconciliation money and stuff like that in order to find more bodies in the ground. But so far they haven't found any. Stories are coming up on that. Just to bring that up. What else is new here that we've seen? Oh yeah, Alberta's independence, getting back to that one again. Here's something that I found that is talking about the 7 rules to win independence. Let's go over these ones here. This is by Eric Thorvaldsen. 7 rules that will lead to successful yes vote and Alberta's independence. If we stay positive and on script, we can win this, folks. Number 1, stay united. Definitely stay united. Focus on the referendum. Exactly. Stay united. In other words, division helps Ottawa. Unity wins the referendum. Focus on the referendum. Shelve the 51st state talk until after victory. Yeah. In other words, don't even talk about being part of the 51st state. If we're going to become an independent Alberta, we just want to be our own country, our own geography, our own, our own country, basically. And we're not even going to talk about becoming the 51st state. That might be something that'll happen after independence. Know the real enemy. Don't waste our energy on internal fights. That's right, because people are fighting within different groups that are going for independence. So we have to unify and go full bore on just keeping it straight and going for just pure independence. That's the way to do it. Don't waste any energy on internal fights. Save it for fighting Ottawa and the legacy media. Legacy media, meaning the old school media that is all about the BS, twisting the truth, whatever. And you know that they're going to be pro-government, which is going to be anti-independence. Defend the truth. Help expose the disinformation wherever it spreads. Prosperity first. Speak to jobs, growth, and a better future. Educate relentlessly. Shift public opinion with facts, not fury. And play the long game. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Stay the course. Win the minds, win the vote, win the future. So, yeah, these are the things that we have to keep in mind if Alberta is going to separate. People say, no, it can't be done. You have the natives to deal with. You have this to deal with. You have the rest of Canada to deal with. Blah, 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 all the rest of it. Nothing will ever happen. Okay, look at this. Canada separated from the UK. Canada became its own country, right? So it's possible. So why can't a province become its own entity as well? It's absolutely possible. It's just a matter of getting people on board and getting people to vote. And once the vote is over 51%, then we can move forward, or whatever the number actually is going to be at that moment in time. But yeah, it's a real big thing, and the numbers are actually booming. We were at 30% of the people in the province wanted to separate, and now we're up to, I think, about 50% now, and the numbers are increasing here every month. So let's look at that happening. Hopefully that will be something that will happen, because let's face it, staying in Canada is pretty much akin to being on this vessel because we're being robbed. You work, and you give so much money to the government, it's unbelievable. You can't keep your head above water. So, like, you might be in good shape yourself, right? You that's watching the stream here. But there are a lot of people out there that are going to the food banks and living out on the street, are barely able to make ends meet. Mortgage defaults are at an all-time high right now. I saw a meme on that here just a minute ago, and people are really, really having a hard time. They're losing their homes, defaulting on mortgages, and it's becoming really tough to live in Canada. It's like being on the Titanic, basically. It's crazy what's going on out here. We have to do better, as we say. We can do better. We can do better. Let's see. The other thing that we're doing here in Alberta is we are getting rid of adult books in the schools, in the school libraries. And there's a big push on that going on to do that. Here's a picture
if it's
here.
too
Let's see.
graphic for the 6 o'clock news, it's too graphic for a 6-year-old.
Sheila Dunreed with Rebel News. Minister, these materials aren't appropriate for TV or a live stream, but will a published list of these books be made available so that people can see for themselves what is now being eliminated from school libraries?
In the public survey that we will be providing to Albertans, we will have a link into that survey for individuals to see some of the suggestible content that we're referring to. Because, of course, it's so hard to put all of this into context without providing some examples of what we're actually referring to. So
yeah,
there will be some links
this is,
available.
This is what's happening, is that you've got all kind of adult type books with all kind of, for a better word, pornography, stuff like that, sexual acts and things like that in them that are, in the school libraries. And the right-wing government in Alberta wants to eliminate those from the school libraries. And the NDP people here in the province, they go, oh, no, that's, akin to what was going on during the Second World War, where they were burning books and stuff like that. Keep all this, sexual stuff in the schools so that the kids can look at it and, become brainwashed with that kind of stuff, pornography and all kind of things like that. It's unbelievable what the NDP are like. It's like, don't you have any sense of reasoning that what's good or bad for children and children should be subjected to, or how they should be educated? The right wingers are just trying to do good for the world and not subject their children to this kind of stuff. And the NDP and the lefties of the world are going, no, we want this stuff.
Through the survey,
unbelievable.
Where an individual, if they so desire, can have a look at the material that is causing concern.
It's not censorship to keep these dick-wagging, gender-wang books out of the hands of little kids. And if you disagree, honestly, your hard drive and probably your head needs a full forensic scan. Alberta's government just took the most reasonable step imaginable, keeping graphic sexual content, some of it too obscene to show to adults, at a press conference, out of school libraries.
Yeah, or that we can't even show you here on YouTube, because I'd get a ban for showing this stuff on YouTube. But, the left wingers want to keep it in the school system. And I say, no, take it out of the school system. I don't want my children looking at that stuff in school. In fact, I'm aghast that it's even in the school libraries at the moment. It shouldn't even have been in there in the first place.
Meant for children.
I'm here today to discuss an important initiative that Alberta's government is undertaking to ensure that materials in our school libraries, particularly those with graphic sexual content, are developmentally appropriate. And I want to be clear right from the onset, this is not a question of banning specific books or specific titles, but rather establishing clear policies and guidelines for all school divisions to follow. We value and recognize the expertise of librarians, administrators, and other school staff. By developing new standards, we will support their important work with consistent guidance to base their decision on selecting and managing school library materials. But first, we are asking Albertans to provide their input by completing a short survey. We will use that feedback to develop province-wide standards that would apply to public, separate, francophone, charter, and independent schools.
Set guidelines for their children. I would show
these images to all of you here and to the media, but they are too graphic for a live stream media event.
These books are too graphic even to show you in this video. I'm not going to read the words written in them either, but I will include a link to the Alberta government's Dropbox.
Oh my God. You can almost see what's going on there. Gender Queer is the name of one of these books here. Like really, honestly, I don't want my kids to be reading that kind of stuff. I really don't.
So you can see them for yourself. And for that smart move to keep smut away from the little ones, well, complete media meltdown, NDP hysteria, establishment freakout.
Bad.
Let's run a bit of the highlight reel. The Alberta media had access to that same government Dropbox full of these explicit book excerpts from before the press conference. They had the embargoed version. They saw and I hate even saying this on video, the strap-ons, the blowjob sex, the group jerk-off dares, the whole parade of degeneracy. And they still called it book banning. Just absolute weirdos. A former cabinet minister in Alberta, Thomas Lukaszuk.
This stuff is bad. As a matter of fact, it's so bad that I'm going to have to cut showing you that stuff anymore because it is terrible what they're allowing the children to read in school. That's the kind of stuff that we want to get out of the school system. It doesn't belong there. I don't need the teachers teaching my children what to do, in the bedroom. Like really, honestly, a lot of the stuff is pretty, I don't partake in that stuff myself. I don't, it's like just weird. It's just strange. It's like, not part of my lifestyle whatsoever. But anyways, the Alberta government is really has a push on right now to take that stuff out of the school system. You can see how bad it actually is getting here. And, it's gotten worse over the years because I don't remember that stuff in the school library when I was a kid. But apparently it's in there now. So it's snuck in there. The lefties have snuck that stuff into the library. So the right-wingers are going hard on getting that stuff out of there. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy what's going on. Can't make it up. Can't make it up. Oh, look at here's an interesting one in the States. In the States, I ran across this one here. It's another major retail chain has closed a store in a black neighborhood, and activists labeled the company as racist. And they're in the store fighting each other over the store closure. Can't show you what's going on here because I might get a strike or something. But the stores are closing, and you know why? Because of shoplifting and stuff like that. Things are getting bad in the States there. Looking terrible. Here's what I was talking about. In Canada, things are so bad here. Ontario mortgage delinquencies are at their highest ever recorded. Ever. And this is because of the Trudeau government and the record high inflation that's happened over the last 10 years. And people that took out mortgages at super low interest rates, and now interest rates are having to be raised in order to fight inflation. Those mortgages are being opened up and whatever. Now they're having to pay higher rates, and people are actually not able to pay those mortgages, high delinquencies. And delinquencies were up 71.5% year over year. So things are actually terrible out there. Can't make this stuff up. And then you've got the business of this business here of a lot of people coming into various countries all over. So some people are starting to go the other way, and they're spreading my culture, as this one here is labeled. My culture, not your culture, my culture. So this guy here, I don't know where this is. Maybe this is over in Scotland or something like that. But he's going to be spreading some of his culture to the people that are in his city.
Holy shit.
Okay, I don't want to get a strike for that music there, but you can see he's in the car there. Looks like not too many people that look like him in there, and he's the only one that likes that music. I guess if they had something a little more East Indian or something in there, whatever, it would probably be a little more applicable. But yeah, he's not happy what's going on and showing people a little bit of his own culture. Myself, I don't know. Got your Canadian culture. Here's the culture in France. This is France, coming in from France right now. And yeah, they used to have culture in France too, but not so much anymore. Now the newcomers are burning the French flag. And there was a guy there by the name of Anne Iman that recently called the French flag satanic, and was recently deported within 12 hours of his arrest. So, yeah, should this woman also be deported? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't like the fact that people are burning, coming into the country as newcomers and then burning the flags of the newcomers. That is the most despicable thing in the world. Has to stop. Too much of that kind of stuff going on. And I know that we can do better. Absolutely a lot better. Macron, there was the business of his wife pushing him around there, and there's some memes going on about that happening. What's this going on here? This is demonstration outside. This is Casa Loma. Let's see, a couple of mass protesters and stuff like that fighting. Now we won't show that one. A little bit too graphic going on there. Yeah, but lots of stuff going on in the world. There's no doubt about that. And it's affecting people all over the place. Here's New York City. This is for you Americans out there. This is what's going on in New York City. It's kind of getting rank out there. What do you think?
Call it brave, don't call it love. One aim of the riches, I'm a target.
Crazy. Out there stopping a bus from going. I don't know what's the matter with people. What is he, drugged up or what? But what do? Just walk out in the middle of traffic and just stop there? And the bus says emergency on it there too. If you look at that, and there's some kind of a emergency vehicle behind the bus, and he's stopping the emergency. Oh, chill, police, emergency, call police, emergency. Maybe he put that on his sign there after he got stopped. But if you look close behind the bus, you can see some kind of an emergency vehicle trying to get through there. Things are going wacko in the real world out there. I don't know what the deal is there, whether people are on drugs or what. Probably. Entitlement. Too much entitlement out there. We know that we can do better. Elbows up, everyone. Elbows up. This is an LGBTQ mob surrounds a mother with a baby. They're not allowing her to attend a Christian rally. So the LGBTQ Antifa crowd is out there doing this kind of stuff. This is welcome to the United States, right? And wokeness. Unbelievable. Seattle. Stuff stuff like this going on. And of course, the government, the municipality, the mayor's office, and all of them, they're backing the LG crowd and the Antifa, the left wingers, and nothing much is going to happen to these people here. The police are even complaining that they're being told to not really do a whole bunch, and when they do something like this here, they get scolded by the mayor of the city. So things are going wacko out there, all over the place. Just showing you what's going on here. Couldn't be any worse than this. Either you're for it or you're against it. One of the two. This guy here is, he's kind of in my mind, a bit of a environmentalist wacko. He's Canadian, and hang on, let's see what he has to say here. Hang on a second. What is this? This might be a parody or something like that. We'll soon find out. This is Guilbeault. That's Cringe Guilbeault, Minister of Nature, helped make the announcement.
Keeping our elbows up, buying Canadian, exploring the best of our country has to offer, cheering on our favorite Canadian sports team. Shout out to the Oilers. We hope they bring the Stanley Cup home this year.
Oh my God. Stay away from my team, the Oilers, okay? It's the Edmonton Oilers. The name has oil in it, and you're totally an environmentalist against pipelines and anything like that.
Or proudly flying the Canadian flag at home. We've shown that we are proud, resilient, and strong. And we've learned that we are stronger when we stand together. And they will be live broadcast nationally on CBC Radio-Canada, platforms as well as on a big...
Yeah, he's a proponent of CBC Radio-Canada, which is like the buffoon lefty talking point supporter of the Liberals and any left-wing government. Probably disliked by most anyone that is right-wing in Canada.
Screen set up on the Supreme Court of Canada and on Parliament Hill. Of course, we will have the Tim Hortons Canada Day fireworks, which will also take place at Le Breton Flats, along with many more fun activities for all families.
Oh my, so much fun.
Moving to Parliament Hill, Canadian will experience classic Canadian traditions like the ceremonial guard band, the snowbirds aerial demonstrations, and the Royal Canadian Air Force pipes and drums. The lawn of the Supreme Court of Canada will be a chill zone where you can relax, watch the shows on the big screen, and even participate in a yoga workshop.
He's our new cultural minister, and the very first thing that he came out after he was basically became an MP at and in the within the government. He started ragging on oil pipelines and stuff like that. Totally against any kind of oil. Totally against Alberta. He's like one of the big reasons that Alberta wants to separate from Canada.
You know, there's one thing that is crystal clear. Canada is not for sale and will never be. So this Canada Day, let's get together.
No, we're not for sale, but we will separate. We'll vote to separate, that's for sure. It's not a matter of whether or not we're for sale for any dollar value or anything like that. We're not for sale. Yeah, come on.
Let's wave our flags with pride, wear red and white, and celebrate Canada, our country, loud, proud, and free. We're thrilled to reveal 7 more legendary Canadian artists who will be part of these Canada Day celebrations. These incredible artists tell our stories, our history, and I can't wait for you to see them perform this Canada Day. Alors, ces artistes sont Sarah McLachlan, Cœur de Pirate, Josh Roche, Randy Bachman, Mitsu Dumas, et Ivan Boivin-Flamand. Ms. Sheldon, over to you. Merci.
Okay, Randy Bachman, taking care of business, working overtime. Yeah, sounds like fun to me. Let's go. Let's shred a little guitar on that one, okay? Randy Bachman. Anyone remember him? The Bachman Turner Overdrive. He's going to be playing in Ottawa Well, at least that's one good band. Let's shred that guitar. For Bachman. Woohoo! Let's go. Wow. Hang on. Maybe we'll just jam it up a little bit. Not so much shredding the guitar. How about that? Here's a guy in Toronto that doesn't like the so-called terrorists that are running around downtown Toronto.
Fuck you, terrorist! Fuck you, and you're not a good person.
Fuck you, terrorists, and you're not a good person. That's funny.
Fuck you, terrorist! Fuck you, and you're not a good person.
Yeah. Okay, we got it. Those doggone terrorists, anyway, taking over the streets, turning our country into a, I don't know what, hellhole or something. Not great. Not great at all. You got to lock them up. Do something like that. Wow, I'm starting to get hungry. I just came across this and like, I'm just getting hungry just sitting here. How about that for a sandwich there? Holy jeez, look at that. Man alive. See, that's what you got to do. You got to have even if you're a sandwich shop, you got to have like a signature sandwich that like differentiates you from the rest of the competition out there, and that people will come back for another one of those sandwiches. Make it big, make it bold, throw in a big pickle with it. And yeah, like if I owned a restaurant, this is the kind of stuff that I would be serving up, you know, a little bit of roast beef, whatever. Check it out. Unbelievable. I don't know how much that sandwich would cost up here in Canada. Probably like a $30 sandwich or something. But I'm starting to get hungry. How about you? Let's go for supper here right away. It's 2 o'clock. 2:01 right now, Mountain Daylight Time. And I'm having fun. I hope you are. Let's see what's happening with the chat out there. Chat says something people are threatened by gays and lesbians because they are fearing their own impulses. In a sense, they both protest too much. Well, you know, how about you can be gay, you can be lesbian, you can be whatever, queer or whatever you want. Just go ahead and do it in your own private space. Do what you're doing in your own private space, but don't flaunt it out in front of me. Don't make a parade and like wear nothing in the parade. I did go to one of those things, and the women were bare-breasted, after the parade and even during the parade. At the last time there was a parade in Edmonton here, so there was stuff like that going on. Yeah, it's just why flaunt it? Why flaunt it? Like, you don't need to make a crosswalk with the whole pride colors and all the rest of that. And now the pride, now it's gone. Now, if you look closely at that crosswalk that I videoed there, it wasn't just the pride flag with just the horizontal colors, but it also had the diagonal, the triangular stuff in there too. So I don't know what else that all represents. I'm going to have to look it up, in the book after the thing is made to see what those other colors represent. But, I don't need that stuff in my face. Like, keep it to yourselves. Do it in your own bedrooms or whatever. And, for those of us that are straight, I don't need to see that. I'm straight. I don't need to partake in the stuff that you're going to partake in. I don't need to know, that you're doing some kind of scissor action or stuff like that, or whatever guys do with other guys. Like, Really, honestly. And I don't need my kids to learn about that kind of stuff at all. My kids are straight, and they don't need to be taught that, oh, straight is not the way to go anymore. Now you have to become something that is like weird. Like, come on, I'm not making it up either. It's just common sense. Just common sense. Common sense is somehow not all that common anymore. And Trump is right, where Trump is saying he doesn't want to see any LGBTQ flags flown at any government buildings and stuff like that. He wants the wokeness taken out of the education system, all the rest of that stuff. So he's pretty much on the right track, because a lot of that stuff is it's so slanted, and it is taking away from what everyone is thinking in the normalcy. Okay, the normal people don't need to be indoctrinated to be knowing what you guys are all up to. If whether you're into that or not, I don't know. But if you support it, I don't know, then you must be into it. But it's like something that is just bizarre, and I don't need that in my life. I didn't need it for as long as I've been alive, and I don't need it for the rest of my life either. You can do what you want, but don't flaunt it in my face or my kids' face at all. Okay, yeah, and this kind of stuff is unacceptable, totally unacceptable. Okay, don't do that in public. It just doesn't cut it. Okay, be nice. I'm gonna get a nudity strike on this here, because someone is going to hit me with some kind of a strike or something with all the stuff that I'm talking about in this broadcast here. But at the end of the day, Alberta should very well become its own country. We should separate from Canada. Wages and everything else, you'd keep more money in your pocket. Instead of walking home with $30,000, you'd be walking home with maybe $60,000-$70,000 out of your paycheck, and you'd be far better off. You'd be able to actually afford your own single-family house or whatever, or a condo, whatever, something like that. And the only way of doing it is by actually doing it. So we're going to actually have a vote here in Alberta to separate, and it should be interesting to see what happens. Let's see. Gabolt is being asked about energy. Let's see what he has to say on this clip here. This is Stephen Gabolt. How much more controversial or conventional energy does Canada need? Gabolt, I'm not the energy minister. I'm not responsible. I'm responsible for nature. No, he isn't. He's not responsible for nature. He doesn't even know what he's responsible for.
Climate change. There were two mentions of climate change and commitments to continue moving forward on nature protection. As you will recall, during the election campaign, we committed to create 10 new national parks, 10 new marine conservation area, 15 new urban parks, and accelerate our achievement of our goals to protect 30% of our lands and waters by 2030.
How much more conventional energy does Canada need? That was the first.
He's being told, apparently he must have been told to stick to his own file and cease the anti-pipeline commentary, because there were clips of him that were so anti-pipeline, and now he's like not talking about that. And people say, well, what about Canada? Well, you guys should be paying lots and lots of money on a carbon tax, because you're actually putting carbon into the air. But what people are not thinking about is the fact that there are a lot of trees in Canada. And here you can see the trees in Canada that are actually capturing carbon. So we are actually way, way, way more than carbon neutral. Sure, we pump CO2 into the atmosphere, but all of these trees right across Canada capture the carbon, okay? And, people don't even talk about that. And, there are those of you out there that go, oh, well, so what, But, yeah, at the end of the day, we're more than carbon neutral, and we shouldn't be paying any kind of a tax. Corporations should not be paying any kind of a tax on carbon, whether it be personal at your personal gas purchase at the gas station, or large corporations that are like manufacturing steel and other things like that. We're basically carbon neutral in Canada. We've got the post office that's threatening to strike. No big deal there. Been losing. Post office in Canada has been losing money since 2018. They should figure out how to actually make money before they ask for more money. The unions are basically have put the post office into they're not making any money. Basically killing the post office. The unions. And now the unions are almost talking about a strike if they don't get a wage increase. So that's another thing happening in Canada here. Good on you, unions there. Put the postal company out of business with your strikes and stuff like that, and with wanting more money. Craziness. That's a kind of a weird one. Jam band. Jam band. Sometimes this music is just weird, just strange. There you go. One big psyop. We're now the upside down psyop country. This is Canada, the new Canada. Meanwhile, in Miami, it's just in from Miami. Check it out. Police officer involved in a shooting. Some guy on top of a car. Oh, not good. Yeah, I'm not going to show that. Apparently, they're taking down some guy on the ground there. And that was a cop that was on top of that car actually shooting a gun as the car was going there. Wow. Pretty rank stuff there. Too many guns in the United States, probably. People are going gun happy. And here's our good friend Pierre. We haven't heard much from Pierre lately, but
yesterday the government
he's basically got a bit to say here
with regards to 3 tax measures. Now, I'll just take a very brief trip down memory lane, not to go too far back, but of course, we Conservatives have been leading a crusade for lower taxes, to axe the carbon tax and the GST off new homes, to cut income taxes. And of course, when we proposed this, the Liberals said we were crazy, and now all of a sudden they are, at least in part, plagiarizing our policy proposals and adopting modified and watered down versions of them.
That's what's happened.
Their motion will partly eliminate the carbon tax, the GST off homes, and give a very modest, very tiny income tax cut. So tiny that it would be barely enough to buy you a cup of coffee every week at a Starbucks.
That's right. Like we were saying, the Liberals have given a 1% tax cut for the middle class, equating to about $800 and some couple dollars per year. Whereas if Pierre would have been elected, the Conservatives, if they would have been in power, they would have actually came in with a 15% tax cut, which would have been substantial. That would have put a lot more money in the pockets of you Liberals out there.
But it's better than nothing. Conservatives came here to fight for lower taxes and more purchasing power. And so we are going to put forward amendments to this motion that will get rid of the entire carbon tax for everyone, for real, for good.
Got to get rid of it.
We'll also push for the GST to come off of more homes so that we can encourage more building and more buying.
Taxes.
And we'll push for a bigger income tax cut that people will actually notice, so that hard work really does pay off for a change. Finally, we are going to push for cuts in bureaucracy, consultants, corporate welfare, and foreign aid, so that we can match the lost revenue with lower spending in order to avoid adding to the deficit. Every dollar of deficit spending is a dollar of inflation that ultimately shows up across the country. We cannot print and borrow our way to prosperity. We need sound money again, and that means bringing down the deficit.
And that's the problem. The government. That's the problem with the Liberals, is that they've been just printing money, printing and printing and printing, which causes inflation. Causes inflation for you and I, for everyone. Not good. Not good at all. Everyone pays more. And you guys, most of you don't really understand that. I like this. Oh, I shouldn't even show that. Guy testing for gas. There was an Elon rocket that went up and exploded. I don't know if you heard about that. I don't know that there's any real video of the thing exploding. But let's see. And then they tested a reusable rocket that actually landed properly. So Elon is going gung-ho. Yeah, the Tesla stock is back up from its bottom out, so it's on the rise again. So yeah, it definitely went down because of Elon being involved with the government in that, but there's a bit of a rebound happening there now. You know, it's not back up to where it was originally, but let's face it, its stock was probably overinflated anyways. You know how people buy in because they think it's the next big thing since sliced bread, and that they're going to make $1 million off of it. So you know, the stock gets pushed up. So it was probably pushed up too high in the first place. So yeah, it bottomed out there when people were burning the Teslas and stuff like that. But now it's on a bit of a rebound. So that's good to hear that. Meanwhile, in Australia, emotional support, you know how you have an emotional support, animal, like a dog or a cat or something like that? Well, over in Australia, guess what they have as an emotional support animal? Guess what? Can't make this stuff up. I want my emotional support. Kangaroo. Gotta come with me for emotional support. Yeah, just watch it. He'll box you in the nose there if you don't feed him right, though. Oh, man. What next? The wacky world that we live in. It's like pretty crazy. How crazy is it? Yeah, people are getting pretty whacked out there, you know. Very whacked out. Food stamp people there, whatever. I'm not sure what her story is about, but I don't know that I even want to know. We'll just move on. Here we go. There's more wackiness. We're not even gonna figure out what this is all about, but all I know is it's not on my side of the fence anyways, but people are like whacked out all over the place there. This is whacked out about Donald Trump is what this one is all about. Hang on. This is the lib freakouts here. Let's listen up. Oh yeah, you can do it. You'll feel better if you do that. Just do that a little bit there. All you liberals out there, this is the latest thing that you want to do so that you too can get rid of those anxieties and feel better about yourself. Okay. Nutsoid. This one here coming in from Edmonton, the place that I live. and pretty bizarre, where this guy was actually videoed driving a bus down the road, playing a game on his iPhone or his tablet or his phone, and some kind of a phone there, as he's driving down the road. Just watch this guy here. Look at him. And he's got a bus full of people. And he's driving, I believe, from Edmonton to Calgary is where the bus is on its way. And he's in Edmonton there, driving down the streets of Edmonton and playing his video game. You can see the phone in his hand there. And he's got a bus full of people. And look who it is. Oh, looks like he's just in from East India there or something. One of those East Indian bus drivers, newbie. Apparently he doesn't understand the business of distracted driving. And apparently that's not distracted driving where he comes from. But hey, when you come to Canada, you better smarten up a little bit there, especially you have the lives of a whole bunch of people in your bus. And yeah, no doubt this is being sent over to the bus company. And yeah, he might not be driving a bus anymore. But yeah, this is footage that goes viral of a bus driver playing games on his phone during a route from Edmonton to Calgary with the Canada bus. Just new here in Canada. Great. Loving it. Excellent. Not. There you go. And we're not bragging about that kind of stuff either. That's nothing to brag about. Oh yeah, remember there was the picture of, this is a good one here. This is actually a takeoff of a picture of the king, except now it's not a picture of the king anymore. It's Tommy Robinson, just out of jail. Tommy Robinson, revealed by the King of England. That's funny. Yeah, he's out of jail doing his thing. So that's good to hear. He's the right-wing spokesman of the people that want change. They don't like what's happening to their country with the UK. Tommy Robinson spends more time in jail than out of jail, but he's back out of jail again. So that's good to hear. Lots of stuff happening. Lots of stuff happening. Here's Carney, Mark Carney. Mark Carney just introduced a $486 billion spending plan with few details about how the money will be spent and zero information on how the money will be raised. Unbelievable. This is the best the brilliant economist Mark Carney can do. I don't think so. And he is yet to come up with a budget. How the hell is he able to come up with all this Canadian money, my money, your money, Canadian taxpayers' money, $486 billion, and he's spending money like a banshee, and he has not even come up with a budget as to how he's going to repay all of this money. What is he going to do? Just print? Get those printing presses going? Like, shame on you, Carney, for everything that you're doing. Shame on anyone that voted for Carney, because that was a bad choice, a really bad choice. You know, you thought that it was a ha-ha, we're going to vote him in, and yeah, oh yeah, you suckers, conservatives, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're all going to be paying the piper for stupidity like that. You know, I think the black crow has arrived. The vulture, not the vulture, but and look at, they're fighting out there. You can see the magpie and the crow are fighting outside my window there. Everyone is fighting in this world. Nobody can have any peace. No peace. What time is it? It's 2:22 Mountain Daylight Time. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining me here today. We appreciate your company. The Liberals need to look up the definition of bigot. Tommy Temper, where do you get your stories? You never say. We're pulling our stories from X, from Elon Musk is where we're getting the stories from. And we're also getting some of them from Facebook. So basically the two places is where we're getting stuff from. And yeah, you can look it up if you don't believe me. I know you guys all go like, oh yeah, well, it's all, misinformation, blah, 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 the rest of it. No, not really. No, the stuff that I'm telling you is just, current events. This is what's happening in the world, either in Canada or the States or whatever over in Europe, that kind of thing. And I'm just showing you what I'm showing you. Do I ever show the other side of the story? What other side of the story is there? There's not much of a story on the other side. It's like, oh, we're happy, we're all rainbows and flowers and stuff like that. And no, not like that. Okay, I just got to meet someone at the front door for a half a second, so you can watch the birds. I'll be back here in half a second, okay? Just take care. Relax. Stand by. Stand by. We'll be back. Okay, we came back. We're glad we did. Get back to the story here. We've got this take here from the Conservatives. This is from the Conservatives at our House of Commons here in Canada. Let's see what he has to say. Stand by for a little audio here.
And rhetoric, but terrible on any kind of detail and a plan.
Andrew Scheer.
A lot of times government members will defend that by saying, well, the details come out in the legislation. And while there may be some truth to that, usually in a throne speech, you at least get a clear indication of what that legislation will do. In other words, the way that the government is going to accomplish.
What he's doing is he's commenting on that throne speech by the King of England, which was nothing more than a speech written by the Liberals, Carney and the Liberals there, his whole department, and just handed over to the King to read. And it was all just a bunch of talking points from his leading up to the election. It was all a compilation of a bunch of his speeches. That's it. and none of it was written by the king whatsoever. Why the king was reading it verbatim, how he got conned into that con job, I have no idea. But this is Scheer talking about that speech by the king.
The goals that they have set out for themselves. But we got precisely none of that yesterday. We were told the government wants to build more homes, and yet all they did was talk about increasing the number of bureaucrats that run programs in Ottawa. And
yeah, and you know what? That the government calls that creating jobs, you know. But when the government creates jobs, that's not a real job. That's actually a burden on the rest of society because the taxpayers pay that guy's wage. And government jobs are not real jobs in my mind. It's a false sense. And you know what? Our government in Canada has created so many jobs over the last 10 years. It's unbelievable. That's why we need somebody in our government to do a dodge cutting of jobs and overhead and stuff like that.
Nothing to incentivize municipalities to speed up development speed up development processes and lower development charges. They copied and pasted, some might call it plagiarism, which is something that the Prime Minister has some familiarity with, many aspects of the Conservative platform, one of which specifically was eliminating the GST on new home construction. They must have dropped something when they were cutting and pasting that from the Conservative platform because they accidentally restricted that. I say accidentally sarcastically. What they did with this policy is they made it much more narrower in its application. So our plan would have reduced the GST on new homes, period. They have restricted that to only some new home purchases. They've done nothing to talk, they did not talk at all about the way that they were going to reduce that red tape and lower those taxes. We have a Prime Minister who wrote a book. He wrote a book called Values, where he defined himself as a human being. And in that book, not only did he profess his love for the carbon tax, but he bragged about the experience he has imposing higher costs on not just Canadians, but on the people of the world. See, that's where this Prime Minister comes from. He comes from a global investment scheme where fancy bankers and powerful elites put together a grift. And the Prime Minister actually himself explained how he benefited from this. You see, he gave an interview where on this panel, he described how this grift unfolds. First, people like him, and he actually says this, he said he has access to important decision makers and policy makers around the world. He uses that access to lobby for regulatory changes. So in other words, he gets to have a glass of wine or a canapé with a government official in a country, and in those conversations or in those meetings, he convinces them to make regulatory changes, and then he goes out and invests in the companies that benefit from those changes. And the example he used, he spoke about lobbying the government of the United Kingdom to bring in a new requirement for jet fuel. That new requirement, there was no market for it. If there was a natural market for it, then aviation companies would make those changes to jet fuel. He specifically required a certain percentage of that aviation fuel had to be sourced from non-conventional energy. If there was a market for that, if that non-conventional product was more efficient, if it was cheaper, then the companies would do it themselves. They wouldn't need a regulatory agency to tell them to do it. So there's no market for it. Why? Because it will increase costs. Those costs get passed on to consumers, and fewer people would be able to afford to fly. So he convinces the policymaker to bring in a rule that cannot be ignored. In the absence of a market...
Hey, what happened to Troll Central? What happened to the channel, by the way? I heard AMC said it got taken down. I saw that, AMC. What's going on?
It or necessitating it. The power of the government, the awesome power of the government comes in and forces aviation companies to blend in a certain percentage of non-conventional energy to use in their fuel. Those extra costs get passed on to passengers. Fewer people are able to afford those tickets.
Go to local pride events. Yeah, but I don't want to see dicks hanging out and bare breasts and stuff like that being flaunted around children. You know what I mean? It's cringe. Absolutely cringe. Come on.
That policymaker that every plane flying in and out of a UK airport has to have a certain percentage of fuel. And then he looks around and he sees a company that's not making any money before the regulatory change. But now that there's a huge market for what they produce, this company that produces that non-conventional energy product.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it'll have a massive market. It'll be
especially
able to
for
sell
that reason.
what it makes to all kinds of airlines flying in and out of the United Kingdom. So what does he do? He invests in that company. So not only does he lobby for the regulatory change, but then he goes and invests.
Like, look at you guys. If somebody is ill on the internet, has a channel, the last thing that you should be doing is bashing them and causing them grief. Like, they have enough grief to worry about as it is, besides trolls trolling people like that. Like, look at what happened. Well, I'm not going to say who or her name, but you know she died, and you guys were making fun of her until she finally died. Like, come on. Enough is enough.
In the company and makes millions. You don't have to take my word for it. The Prime Minister himself admitted this before he ran for the leader of the Liberal Party. Now, imagine doing that with any other aspect of government. Imagine your buddy owns some kind of an asphalt company, and because of one reason or another wasn't making much money, maybe selling an additive for the asphalt. There wasn't really a market for it. Cities and rural municipalities didn't think they needed to buy it, didn't really produce anything of value for motorists or taxpayers in that area. And imagine you use special access to get time with ministers or with government officials, and you convince them, not because there was a market for it, you convince them to pass a rule
there's two going now.
That your friend's company's product had to be included in all the asphalt that's being laid down in an area. And then you went out and you invested in that company. If you were an elected official and you did that, you would likely be up on criminal charges. You would likely be investigated for corruption. But that's exactly what the Prime Minister did in his private sector career. He used his access with government officials to lobby for changes to allow him to make investments. And
that's why RV doesn't want to come over here. You know what? I talked to RV this morning, and he said, Tommy, I don't want to go over in your chat because I get trolled too much by all those bad trolls that are in your chat. And I said, well, yeah, but I try and, keep things equal, a bit of equality to have everyone, to give everyone a voice. I like to welcome everyone. So that's why you see everyone in my chat. I rarely ban anyone unless they are really bad, let's say doing a dox or something in the chat. Someone really bad is going to go in the tank. But otherwise, most everyone is welcome here. And, I like it. Like look at Cadamus Rex. Cadamus Rex is probably the worst for hitting on me and saying mean stuff to me and, countering everything that I say or do or whatever. Like, Tommy, where'd you get that information from? Or your, misinformation or whatever. And I never hear what the real information is. If I'm giving out so much misinformation, what's the real information? Never does say. But, at the end of the day, it's more fun. For me, it's more fun. I have more fun with everyone, with somebody that doesn't believe me, somebody that's not on my side, somebody that's against me, or my thoughts, or, different kind of political, leanings that I might have. It's just the same way I go into some left-wing chats too. And some of them I get banned right away if I say anything right-wing. But there are other ones, like Jesperson is a good one there, Cadamus Rex. I'm over there. He's a left-winger. And he reads my chats online all the time. You'll hear him say, Tommy Temper says, blah, blah, blah. He likes me. He knows that I'm a right-winger. And he doesn't agree with me, but he still reads my chats and stuff like that. And I like that kind of stuff.
Yes. In that throne speech, no mention about how to get big projects built. Remember, it was the Liberal government that canceled big energy.
Look at Peachy is just little old Peachy, little old lady doing her thing with a video with the YouTube channel, trying to just have a bit of fun, has cancer. Who knows? When you have cancer, you have to start thinking like, wow, I might not live forever. Well, nobody lives forever, but you know what I mean? And that would be the last person that I would be bothering, is somebody that I know is in that situation. But you guys are like, the whole channel, the whole group of you trolls are all ganging up on poor little Peachy, which I find to be typical. Pretty typical.
Projects like Northern Gateway and Energy East. Northern Gateway would have opened up Asian markets. It's the shortest route between where the oil and gas is found.
No, I was in
RV's
chat this morning
to be able to
on his channel.
Ship it to countries like India, China, Japan, countries with booming populations and an ever-increasing middle class. That are many of those countries right now buying their oil and gas, their energy, from countries who do not share our values, countries with dictators.
That's the point. Yeah. Eastern Canada is buying oil from Arab countries, countries that do not share our values. Meanwhile, we could have a pipeline to Eastern Canada. We could be supplying oil right across Canada. But because of provinces like Quebec, they go, no pipeline in Quebec. We don't want. No, it's more of a French accent. Fermez la bouche.
Regimes that abuse the rights of women, that abuse the rights of religious minorities, that
haven't seen Queenie
in fomenting
today.
Wars and terrorist activities, not just throughout the region, but throughout the world.
And that comment there, Telescope, is exactly why RV doesn't come over to my chat, because you guys call him ball bag, or you just name call people. Which is, that's a shame that you do stuff like that. You just do that just to make people feel bad. And guess what? He does feel bad when you call him that. So then he goes, well, I'm not going over there. They're going to call me ball bag over there, and I don't like that. So that's why he doesn't come over here, So, you might say, well, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, sometimes names do hurt people, and what you guys say on the internet here does cause people to not show up or just stay away. And that's why you guys are all blocked over in his channel, so he has his safe space. This is not a safe space.
Longer able to fill those markets because Liberals canceled those pipelines. Nothing in the throne speech about repealing those terrible pieces of legislation or supporting those projects. He says he's the man with the plan. Slogans aren't as efficient as plans, yet there is no plan. And then he goes around and tells Canadians that there will not even be a budget for 6 months.
Yeah.
And look at all the economic...
That's another thing. Carney, the left-winger, becomes prime minister, and then it's like, no budget until the fall. We'll just spend billions and billions and billions of dollars, and not tell you where we're getting the money from, not balance anything. But yet he's going to go balance the budget within 3 years. Not too likely, not with the Liberal agenda, I'll tell you that. We need a better government than a banker. You guys elected the banker thinking that, a banker is going to be very well organized. Wouldn't a banker, the first thing that a banker would do would be to come up with a budget. I have this much money in my hand, and I have this many things that I want to spend money on. I don't have enough money to spend on all of those things. I better not spend on those things. Just like you or I would have some kind of a budget, knowing full well what's in your bank account and how much money you have to spend, and not overspend and not go into debt over stupidity.
Calamities that Canadians have had to suffer through: an inflation crisis, cost of living crisis, a housing crisis, massive debt and deficits racked up by Liberal governments. The government now spending more, the Liberal government spending more on servicing the debt, in other words, paying the interest payments to bankers and bondholders than they are on health care. After all of this, and the Prime Minister himself saying speed was of the essence, we had to start, as a country, we had to start addressing this as quickly as possible. He's telling Canadians that we're going to have to wait for 6 months before we get this plan. I don't know of a single boardroom around the country that would keep a CEO in his position. If in the middle of a crisis, the CEO came in and said, I know we're in a crisis, and don't worry, I've got a plan, I'll come back to you in 6 months. I don't think any board of directors would keep a CEO that asked for 6 months worth of grace period
Exactly,
to start to address
Kathy.
a problem. He says he wants to build, but he refuses to repeal the very laws that stop us from building. He will not commit to repealing C-69. That's the anti-pipeline bill, the No More Pipelines bill. He refuses to repeal the shipping ban that blocks Western Canadian oil from reaching global markets. That was Bill C-48. He's keeping in the energy cap, the production cap. He's keeping in the industrial carbon tax. The industrial carbon tax. I mean, here we have a situation where our steel workers, our aluminum workers, our manufacturers in Canada have to worry about their companies competing against American manufacturers when there is no carbon tax on the U.S. side of the border. My colleague from Windsor-Tecumseh had a great point yesterday.
That's funny,
She
D.
pointed out that saying you're going
Talcott
into a fight with the
closed down the
Americans
channel.
while keeping an industrial carbon tax on Canadian workers is like tying one elbow behind your back. It's not going to put Canada in a position of strength if the government keeps that industrial carbon tax. The Prime Minister flippantly said, when was the last time you bought a whole bunch of steel? Does
That's
he not
right,
realize that
Peachy.
there's a lot of steel,
When people
a lot of
hit at
things
you,
that
you
Canadians
hit back.
buy on a pretty
That's just
regular
normal.
basis. Last time I opened up my fridge had steel. The car you drive has steel. Lots of household components have steel. Lots of framing material for new homes require steel. There are many, many things that Canadians have to buy on a regular basis that contain steel. That steel could be
No,
made
Mater,
in
I haven't.
Canada. And we could export some of that steel
You know, he might,
into the US and around the world.
Put it this way. RV says stuff about me because of who's in my channel, because he thinks that I am pro the people that are in the channel. I don't like people coming in my channel and calling RV ball bag. You know what I mean? But he thinks that I don't care, you know, but I do care. I don't like anybody being blackballed, whatever, by anybody out there. But, you know, the Troll Central people do that. But, you know, I've said this many times. Like, I banned, you guys know that. I banned a whole bunch of Troll Central people in my chat. And it just seemed like it wasn't that much fun. You know what I mean? It was like you guys are saying, like an echo chamber of just one-sidedness. And nobody is, like, countering anything that I'm saying or you know, like anti-Trump or or pro-Trudeau or whatever, you know, and you like to hear those people because if you don't hear what they have to say, then you don't know what they're saying about you or what you're aligned with, and it just makes for a better channel, I think, just to have everybody in there. You know, you get some negativeness, but it also turns out to be good at the end of the day, in my mind, anyway. You know, I just don't want to ban people. I hate to ban people. I like to like people. Hopefully you guys like me to some degree more so than other people because you're not banned here.
If Canadian manufacturers had an advantage, if they didn't have to pay that carbon tax. The irrational devotion to the carbon tax that the Prime Minister has in keeping the industrial side of it is a direct repudiation of anything he has said on helping Canada fight back from a position of strength. He's going to saddle us down with higher taxes and higher regulatory regimes. There's no mention of repealing the soft-on-crime laws C-75 and C-5, which unleashed a wave of crime across the country. Those two bills drastically lowered penalties for dangerous and repeat offenders. That is what caused the crime wave. You know, crime isn't just like the weather. You know, it's not like one day there might be a bit of humidity, the next day there might be a few extra car thefts.
What?
Crime is a direct result of
Mater should have a wrench.
And when this government came in, when this Liberal Party came in,
hang on,
and they started repealing mandatory minimum sentences, and they started forcing judges to grant bail instead of jail for some of the country's most notorious and dangerous offenders. That is when we saw a direct correlation in the rise in crime.
Mater, you should have a wrench.
We had a government that decided to take
you not have a
taxpayers'
wrench?
money. Think of a taxpayer working so
good.
hard, picking up extra shifts, working long, long hours, missing out on time with their children and their families because they were hustling and striving and trying to eke out a better quality of life, knowing that when those tax dollars come straight off their paycheck, that a portion of that tax dollars was going to buy dangerous opioids to give out to drug dealers, to people to
Yeah,
use in communities,
we're gonna go
and that
bike
those
riding.
drugs ended up in the hands of drug dealers. Imagine the insult to industry
Oh, yeah.
injury that those Canadians who are barely getting by when they find out that their tax dollars went to subsidize drug distribution in our communities. This is simply
Sounds
the
good.
same old talking points.
Hey, if you're sitting
just
there
not
watching,
being
hit that
effective.
sub
The
button. We
Liberals
need a
are
couple
trying
of
to
new
pull off
subscriptions. So hit that sub button.
a massive trick
And
on
give
Canadians.
us
They're
a
trying
thumbs
to
up
pretend that if
if
you
you
just
can.
change your rhetoric a little bit and you change the leader and the
Appreciate
name,
that.
but you keep the same ministers
that
and you keep the
thumbs
same
up.
policies, that somehow Canadians will believe that things are actually different. See, changing superficial things is actually easy. You know, you can swap out the talking points. You can suddenly mimic some of the language that you hear from other political parties, as the Liberals did when they lifted conservative ideas. It's easy to wear black shoes and normal socks and pretend like everything's going to be different. But the things that actually affect Canadians' lives, they're not the superficial things. They're not the words on pieces of paper. They're not the grand prose that comes out of a monarch's visit to the Senate to read a throne speech. Canadians' lives are changed by the laws, the tax rates, and the regulations that governments set.
Meter has
and
a wrench.
so far, we have absolutely zero indication that there will be anything meaningfully change under this Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, there was absolutely nothing in the throne speech to talk about unleashing our businesses and our resources. But that's what conservatives
1090
will
in
do.
the House.
The best way to fight back against a threat against our country is to fight back from a position of strength. C'est facile d'utiliser les bons paroles.
You're right,
It's
Peachy.
easy
You got it.
make lofty speeches and
But, you
say
know,
all the right
I
things.
used to be attacked a lot
But at the end
myself.
of the day, what matters
And then I attack back.
is
And, you
that
know, when you attack back,
we can
the
only
trolls don't like
improve
it.
Canadians'
They don't like to
quality
be
of
attacked.
life
So I stopped
by
attacking them.
legislating.
And they basically stopped
Speeches
attacking me.
won't improve things for Canadians.
That's how it works. Works like that in the school
Legislation
ground,
will.
too.
Ministerial bills and decisions made by ministers. That's how we can really improve quality of life for Canadians. But as it stands, we've had no indication that this government will deliver real change for Canadians.
To the Canadian people during the last election will be what we fight for in this parliament.
Telescope.
Building on the success our leader Pierre Poilievre had in achieving 42%.
RV doesn't come to my channel because he gets
millions of new
beat up too much by you trolls.
millions of new Canadians voting for the Conservative Party. I know my Conservative colleagues will agree with me on this.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, every
Exactly,
single one of us,
Mossad.
when we were knocking doors in the last election, met people who told us that they had never voted Conservative before.
Yes.
Many of whom said they
Yes.
never even voted before.
Yeah.
But they saw in our leader Pierre Poilievre's vision for this country something that they hadn't seen for a generation from the Liberals. Hope. Hope that that promise of Canada could be restored.
Hey, you
where
lowered the
hard
price of gas.
work pays off. Where you can earn a powerful paycheck that affords not just the basic necessities of life.
Some things won't be
some of the
lowered,
nice
like
extras as well,
electricity.
too.
That's going to be a
The
tough
belief
one.
that every generation that comes after will be better off than the previous because
You're
our
paying for
country
those
continues
windmills.
to grow and improve upon itself. That hope has been lost over the past 10 years because of Liberal government
Exactly,
policies. And while
Deb's Crazy Daily.
we have more work to
I
do
agree.
as the Conservative Party to win the next election, I can assure you that our leader, Pierre Poilievre, will continue to espouse that vision of hope, that promise to Canadians that life will get better. And in the meantime, we will hold this government to vigorous account. It is our job to go through, line by line, every dollar spent, every tax dollar taken out of the pocket of Canadians, every infringement on their liberty. Any decision that comes from this government, we will do our job. Not for ourselves, not because we're the blue team and they're the red team, but for Canadians. For the Canadians that have to go to work every day and shoulder that
Come
government
on.
spending and pay off that
You
government
guys with
debt
using
and
the
put
term
up with the
bigot.
terrible outcomes
The term
of
is like
disastrous
being
policies
devalued,
that have hurt our country
overused.
for so long. More and more Canadians want a
Bigot,
government
racist,
that puts
misogynist.
Canadian workers, Canadian energy, and Canadian families first. And that's what
No,
Conservative opposition will be
co-signer.
fighting for every single day for as long as this
We need to
parliament
keep
lasts.
processing that tar.
So,
you sound
Mr.
like
Speaker,
Trudeau. That's what Trudeau wanted
I'll
to do.
close with this thought. It was very disappointing
Phase out
for
the tar sands.
not just parliamentarians, but for Canadians themselves. There are a lot of economic headwinds that aren't just on the horizon. They are absolutely blowing through communities all across this country. TD Bank is predicting a recession just around the corner with thousands of jobs lost. We heard from our housing shadow minister today about a phenomenon that only the Liberal Party of Canada could possibly create, where prices are still so high that new buyers can't afford to buy them, but they're now lower than the inflated prices that the existing owners bought them at. So you have a situation where sellers can't afford to sell.
Pamela G.
If they drop their prices anymore, they won't be able to cover the mortgage that they owe.
And try to
but
ignore
it's
the
still
dirt.
far too high
Good luck on
for
that.
buyers. Buyers can't buy, sellers can't sell. Only
we
a
try and
Liberal
allow
government
free
could
speech.
achieve such monumental
You know
failure.
what I mean?
We have a situation where the debt
Thanks a lot for the super chat.
debt
Appreciate
required
that,
to finance what the government has campaigned on.
You're a kind
will
person.
Put enormous pressure on bond.
I'm going to take that super chat, and when we go bike riding,
we're
we're going to go and
never ever led
it'll
to a
buy
good place when governments
partial
start
pizza
borrowing so much
or whatever
money
we're going to eat on our bike
that
ride.
lenders
Right away.
start to
Appreciate it.
doubt if the government will ever be able to fully pay it off and start demanding a higher and higher premium
ABD.
for that. So you would think that the man with the plan, the guy you hire in a crisis, the guy that claims that he can walk into a boardroom
I would imagine. I would
solve
believe
these
that.
issues,
ABD.
and he can go down. He still hasn't gotten results from his visit to the United States. Other countries have gotten deals. This Prime Minister hasn't got one. Still no plan to get new energy projects built. And worst of all, no budget to show Canadians just how bad the situation is and what they might be facing in the future. That lack of a budget is probably the most concerning thing that we've heard from the government over the last few weeks. I mean, this is the number one job. The reason why the House of Commons exists is to approve taxation and spending. That is the origin story of our parliamentary system. And
hey, it's
not
Kenzie.
just a matter of disrespect.
It's my brand new friend.
From Canadians,
I don't know where you're from. You're from Airdrie, I think, Alberta.
The fact that the government will not commit
Let's
to
go.
tabling
Let's
the budget before they
separate
go on vacation.
from Alberta. Let's Alberta separate from Canada.
It's telling. What it's telling me is that they're really afraid to share
the tar sands are cleaned up by extraction.
afraid of coming clean with
Exactly.
Canadians
It's
because
clean
the
oil.
numbers are so bad. But Mr. Speaker, the best thing you
Nice
can
to
do
see
with
you.
tough medicine
My
is
good
take it
friend
early,
from the Jesperson
and
show.
all of us can get together with trying to fix the problem.
Good to see you.
So we urge the government to table that budget. And it's in that light that I move the following. That the motion, I move, seconded by l'honorable député de Bégantic-Lac-Dérable. Lobinière.
Well, he's got a lot of money left over from all those people that are 150 years old
advisors to include
on
a firm
Pogie.
to present to Parliament an economic update or budget this spring
Pension plans,
before the
whatever
House
it was
adjourns
there.
for the summer that incorporates measures aimed at unleashing Canada's economic potential, including full accountability of Canada's finances.
There you go. That was Andrew Scheer. He's conservative in the House of Commons there. That was his speech after the King of England gave that fake speech there written up by the Liberals, which is kind of goofy at best. Here's what it looks like outside my window. She's looking nice out there. Looking beautiful. It is a beautiful day. Going up to 30 degrees here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. A little bit windy. So, hey, that makes for it being nice with a little breeze. It's not too hot out there. And it's that time of the day where I'm going to have to say, sayonara. We'll see you later. I'm going to go out for a bike ride with the kids. And who knows what we'll run into. I'll take a few videos of stuff like that that's going on. And we hope to see you again on our next broadcast. One of these times I'm going to go do a late night, or maybe 9 o'clock my time, mountain time, around then, about 9 or 10 o'clock, go live and do a panel, get some people on here in a panel with the StreamYard link. So look out for that to be happening. Otherwise, it's a fun day here, and it's that time of the day. We're going to be out of here. Woo! Thanks a lot for joining us. This is the Tommy Temper Show. Thanks a lot, everyone that gave us a super chat. Do appreciate that. It keeps our drive alive. Keeps me wanting to go live again when I get a couple of super chats or something like that. Shows me that, you know, that it's like I'm a waiter getting a tip or something like that, you know. I'm not coming to your house. I'm not delivering you, you know, like your pizza at your house. But, you know, that being said, it's kind of fun to be here with you. I have fun. You have fun. We all have fun. Just, I hate it when you guys bash each other in the chat. You know, other guys that do these streams, they don't have this weird chat with half trolls and half not trolls, whatever, and everyone, you know, fighting each other, going at it. Crazy. It's crazy, but it's interesting. I like it, and it's how the channel has evolved here. And we'll see you all later. Thank you very much for tuning in. We have 54 people in the chat here right now. I'm seeing 70 on the big number on my top of my screen, which indicates there's other people watching on Facebook and on X, at least a few people, building up our audiences over on those platforms as time goes on. And yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. Good to see everyone's chat in there. Good to see your smiley faces. Take care. Stay out of trouble. And if you can't stay out of trouble, name it after me. Naughty, naughty. How do I cut out of here? I got to get out of here. See you all later. Bye-bye. Woo! Here, I'll stand up.